The issue of how much of crude oil funds remain to be remitted to the Federation account continues to throw up a storm as the probe being conducted by the Senate enters its second week. Hello, I'm Lanre Lasese, and this is The Gavel. A full week it turned out to be in the National Assembly, from defections to the probe into the issues of non-remittance of crude oil proceeds to the Federation account. This week, all eyes were also on the Senate, where the defection drama was building up to a climax. Here's the report.
The last week in the Senate can be described as a week when the defection drama reached a crescendo. The lines were crossed. On one side, the Senate's president, and on the other, the defecting lawmakers. Both sides were not prepared to shift grounds from their position over the matter of defection of lawmakers from the PDP to the APC. The march started when Senator Bukola Saraki moved a point of order informing the Senate of the decision of some lawmakers to defect from the PDP to the APC.
I would like to bring it to the attention of the Senate that myself and 10 other senators have notified our change from being Senator of the People Democratic Party and now joined the All Progressive Party.
The Senate President responded.
Because the matter is in court, I shall have no further discussion on it because the order is very clear. No reference shall be made to a matter which is before a law court. Therefore, I rule you out of order.
But the minority leader was not deterred by the Senate President's response and brought his own point of order.
We cannot stop people from associating once they operate in tandem with our orders here.
From then on, other opposition lawmakers fired points of orders in quick succession. But the Senate President remained resolute in his decision not to discuss the matter of defection. Never in the history of the 7th Senate have we seen this much point of orders moved in a session.
Point of order, Aisha. Point of order, Mr. President.
Some of the defecting lawmakers then tried another strategy.
I have decided to join the All Progressive Congress, and I'm a registered member of the All Progressives Congress.
In the ensuing drama, it then appeared that a lawmaker from the APC wanted to jump ship to the PDP, but the Senate President did not allow that to happen. The ruling of the Senate President after the point of orders were raised meant one thing.
At a time at which the Senate President says that he rules you out of order, that means whatever you have said is null and void.
The defection drama continued the following day. The Chairman's Senate Committee on Rules and Business raised a point of order asking the Senate President to declare the seats of the lawmakers who openly pledged allegiance to the APC vacant.
The seat of Senator Saraki, Aisha, Al-Satan, and Adamu, and all of them are vacant on the floor of the Senate, and they have become strangers on the floor of the Senate.
His point of order met a brick wall.
The decision that you've asked me to make is not possible because the matter is before a court of law, and therefore I rule you out of order.
But another lawmaker made a similar attempt, cheered on by his colleagues in the PDP.
Mr. President, Section 53, 5 of our standing rule is inconsistent with the provision of Section 1 of the Constitution. And the Constitution has a binding effect on you to declare the seat of these people vacant. Because it has a binding force on you. Now, I want it now.
However, rising in defense of the defecting senators, a lawmaker, Senator Babajide Omorare, countered the positions of Senator Enang and Sekibo.
We must not give the impression that Mr. President cannot just sit at that exalted and esteemed seat and just declare the seat vacant. Thank you very much.
It began to look like a repeat of the scenario of the previous day, where there was an avalanche of points of orders raised. But the Senate President was still not prepared to allow this to happen.
It doesn't matter whether you talk from now to your eternity, I'm not going to change my stand.
Normalcy was finally restored and lawmakers tended to the business of the day. Last week clearly showed that the Senate has still not been able to find a political solution to the crisis which has built up in the Senate over the defection of lawmakers from the PDP to the APC. From here onwards, it will be interesting to see how this drama will unravel in the Senate.
Now, lawmakers in the House of Representatives also had their own part in the defection drama. Our next report looks at the issue of defections in the House and the debate on the 2014 budget.
This is to draw the attention of the Honourable House that I and my supporters are unanimously decamped from APC to PDP.
This has become a normal feature of proceedings in the House of Representatives. Defections. This week, 5 lawmakers moved from the APC to the PDP, with only one moving in the opposite direction.
Of course, you are aware of the merger that happened between some parties, which included my party, the NNPC. And of course, whether consultation were made with me or not, anyway, the merger were done. So with that, the Constitution gave me the right that I was not leaving my party per se to move to another party. But due to the merger, I was left with no option than to look at what platform do I need to belong, which platform has, in total, what my ideas are or close to it. So with that, I presented Mr. Speaker today with my letter signifying my intention to join the People's Democratic Party.
This week also, the House of Representatives commenced debate on the 2014 appropriation bill. The House then heard from the committee set up to look into the point of order raised last week on the executive's non-compliance with the Fiscal Responsibility Act in its submission of the 2014 Appropriation Act.
It does not pretend at all. It says I am a summary. And we as a committee are satisfied that this document falls short of the document contemplated by section 21, subsection 3 of the Fiscal Responsibility Act.
In his ruling, the Speaker appealed to the lawmakers not to be distracted with the desperate politicking that has engulfed the country.
And in deference to overriding national interests, the House of Representatives should proceed with the consideration of the 2014 appropriation bill, while the Minister of Finance is requested to comply fully with the mandatory provisions of Section 21 of the Fiscal Responsibility Act before the conclusion of the budget process. I so rule.
The debate then commenced.
Why should we build a hospital for 1 or 2 persons for 700 million naira and be putting 300 million naira into our tertiary hospitals? Again, this I think is not right. And apart from that, Mr. Speaker, we've heard of the issue of aircraft. They want to buy planes, they want to buy this and that. Mr. Speaker, those are not necessary. And even wastages as far as the National Assembly is concerned, the issue of building houses for our principal officers, I think the money is too much. And if we are talking about cutting wastages, we should also look in that regard.
Our exchange rate remains at 55 to 160. This is a standard rate that has been reduced and stabilized over the years. This is in issues of financial and economic stability. And that is why I call it a budget of consolidation.
So for as long as the National Assembly does not pass the petroleum industry bill, it becomes a bit difficult for us to be able to assist the executive in making sure that the accounting for oil revenue is done in the way it should be done.
On the final day of debate, the debate was more intense with clear party colorations.
Beyond expected incomes and expenditure now, there is in modern economics, deliberate attempts is being made to bring the baseline, to lay foundation for those things that will enable individuals in the system to be productive. And productivity is the key word. You do not expect, I do not know of any modern economy where the government of the day is responsible for refinery, where the government of the day is responsible for steel sector, what the government does is to create an enabling environment. And this is what this budget has done. Consolidation.
The managers of our economy have told us that our economy last year grew in excess of 5%. The same managers have submitted an appropriation bill which in no way reflects that growth. And they want us to believe that this is a budget of consolidation. You cannot consolidate what does not exist.
But the debates became even more intense when the minority leader stood to make his contribution.
Mr. Speaker, what we have in this House is not a budget. It's a document that suggests or is based on what I call voodoo economics and make-believe.
Bill before us today is the appropriation bill that members refer to as the budget. He had said it is not a budget, and all the figures he has been quoting are contained in the same budget. So I just want him to withdraw that statement that it is not a budget. He said voodoo economics. We don't have voodoo economics before us in the House. So he should withdraw that statement.
Eventually, the Speaker called for a vote on the bill.
Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Clap.
The bill has now been referred to the Committees on Appropriation and Finance. These committees are expected to work with other committees of the House to address the concerns that have been identified in the bill.
Now, with this latest defection, the PDP caucus appears to have regained its majority in the House of Reps. This appears to end the dispute between the two parties as regards which party has the majority in the House. Well, this is how it may remain until something decisive happens in this defection saga. Next is a chat I had with the chairman of the House Committee on Appropriation. He started by airing his thoughts on the Speaker's ruling on the matter of non-compliance with the Fiscal Responsibility Act.
Well, you know what I would say? It's all is well that ends well, really. I mean, it's because, I mean, like you've already admitted and found out on the floor, the debates on the second reading of the appropriation bill, you know, has actually commenced. Don't forget when I tried to intervene last week Tuesday, I didn't object to the idea or to the fact as expressed by my colleague, Honorable Jime, that the accompanied documents were summaries or were abridged. I mean, I actually acknowledged the fact that he appreciated that documents came at all. And I said that wasn't enough for debates not to continue. I mean, if it has taken us 1 week to get back to that same position, that in spite of the abridged nature of those documents, that the national budget is so sensitive and so important a matter that we shouldn't allow that to affect the consideration. However, the Speaker's ruling, you know, for which I also, I mean, the Speaker's ruling is to the effect that the debate will continue, and the hope is that before we get to the stage of passing the budget, that details of those documents, those budgets, would have been made available by the Minister of Finance. You know, so I mean, you know, head of tail, you know, I mean, it's a win-win thing. I mean, you know, and therefore, as a member of the House of Representatives, I mean, I can't say I'm not part of that decision. I mean, I'm bound by that decision.
Okay, I'd just like to understand. The House has now agreed the documents that should accompany the budget should be brought in. But I'd just like to know what total effect are we hoping this will have on the budgetary process?
I think perhaps the time has come for us as a National Assembly to proceed beyond simply insisting that the law be obeyed in terms of accompanying the estimates with the budgets of those statutory corporations. Because the question is,